Thank you, Uma and Mujibuddin, for giving me this opportunity to talk to you about this. Today, actually, I'm going to talk in very actually lucid information about the clinical research, mostly introduction, and there are so many other details are there which can be covered subsequently as a separate topic. So the title of my presentation today is the clinical research and this is introduction. So first and foremost that actually why we want to do clinical research, what is the necessity? Why everybody is looking that we should do clinical research? Let us see some important actual reason. The first and foremost is that we are interested to satisfy the very important question which is related to patient health care, and we want to investigate, and finally we wanted to come out the suggestion which can be helpful for the patient. Second thing is definitely as a researcher, I want to improve my status. If I do good clinical research, naturally status of my activity will increase. Definitely I want to actually enhance my skill. So doing clinical research, adopting new methods, it will advance my skill. Then definitely professional advancement is there. Many organizations, when you are doing or working for clinical research, they want, if you do good job, there will be professional advancement. And last thing is that definitely many people are working in industry, those who are related to clinical research. So that is their basic job. So they get salary and job security if they are doing clinical research. These are some reason why we do clinical research. Now let us see what is actually you mean by research. So in a very simple term, research is the endeavor to discover new facts, procedures, methods, and technique by a scientific study of a course of critical investigation. So generalized thing is research is any fact we are wanted to do, or you find out some procedure method. When you are applying a very good scientific method, then it is known as a research. Now let us come what actually clinical research is. Clinical research involves working with the human participant to answer questions relevant to their well-being. Either it may be healthy volunteer or patient. When we aren't actually involve these people to do the study, then it becomes a clinical research. Patient-oriented research is known actually patient need or address. So whenever actually we are doing clinical research, wherever aim is related to something we wanted to do patient, then actually it is a more relevant clinical research related to patient. But clinical research is also conducted in healthy individual to find out some of the fact or information. Now, most important thing that whenever we are talking of research or clinical research, ultimately actually how we proceed to do the research. The first and foremost thing that whenever you are thinking of doing any research or something, first you have to define your question. What actually you are actually looking to do. So you have to identify your question to start with, and you have to clearly define this is my question to find out or to do something in research or clinical research. And very important thing, the basic thing that actually you should write down clear aim, what actually you want to do, what is your aim to do the particular activity. Then there are many small actually information you will be collecting as the aim. Divide the problem into very small answerable questions. Never put a very big query that so many things at a time you want to do. Break them in very small things and then analyze that what actually the questions which are feasible to do or not. So break in very small questions and then we have to analyze them. Continuing the same thing, the first and foremost in any research is that should develop a hypothesis. I will tell you what is hypothesis. So first and foremost in any research, clinical research, you have to start with a hypothesis or something actually we are aiming to do something. Decide what data is needed to test hypothesis. This is very, very important. You clearly should know that if you want to do this type of research or clinical research, what type of data you want to collect from the individual or the patient. it should be very, very clear for confirming your hypothesis. Then when you have collected the information about the various data, you redefine and check the line of the thought. So whatever you are thinking, okay, these data are there, up to what it is possible, whether you can collect the data, again you refine. And there may be possibility that some of the data may be very good, but probably may not be able to do, or some issues are there. So you refine and find out actual thing which you are able to do. So this is actually the first and fourth step in case of clinical research. Now, actually, whenever we are thinking of doing research and all those things in there, let us see that how I find out, okay, whatever actually I'm planning or thinking, what is actually good research. So for understanding good research, very important thing you have to remember CAR. CAR is not a symbol of the TRS. This is one of the very important thing you have to remember, because each actually letter here represent a very important contribution as per the good research. C stand for it should be clear, essential for both problem and the answer. So you should be very, very clear that what is actually important thing to do. It is very, very essential for the problem which you are looking and the answer which you want to find out. Coming to A, that is accurate. This is very, very important again, because accuracy in clinical research is very important. Then only you can generalize your data. So exactness and precision comes from hard work and responsible effort. So hard work and responsible efforts are needed if you want to generate exact and precise data. And coming to R, most important thing is that whatever we are doing, it should be reliable. That whatever data you have generated and presented, if somebody wants to look and want to repeat and see, he should also be able to get the same answer. So reliability of your data, accuracy and clear, all these things are very important items as per good research is concerned. Now coming to the researcher, what should be a quality of the people, those who wanted to do research? I think that a researcher must be knowledgeable. He should know each and every latest thing which is happening on the area of your interest. If you are talking of COVID, you should know what is actually happening in COVID today. If you are diabetes, wherever actually your interest of research, you should have a very good knowledge about that item or that subject. You should be very observant, because when you are doing something, you will find out so many things are happening. If you are observant, you will get a very good data. Very good example is that the discovery of penicillin is done where actually the individual was observing and he found that there is a significant inhibition of the growth of some of the organism when particular mold was applied. So this is the observation, and then actually penicillin was discovered. Like that, there are many observations which may contribute to for understanding and getting some very good data for you. So this is another very important quality of a researcher. He should be very observant during clinical research. Always you should be logical. Illogical things will never lead to giving a good quality of research. Always open-minded. When you are doing, so many issues will appear, somebody will suggest some of the things. So be having open mind, try to understand what actually they are telling, up to what extent it is there, analyze, and if it's necessary, you can implement that. Always you should be honest. We be listening that there are so many people are publishing some article, and when people are digging into information, they are finding that those studies was not properly done and all fake data has been generated. So it is very, very important that as a researcher, you should be very honest, always motivated. Motivation is very important quality of a researcher. You should be independent. Whenever you are thinking, decide based on your knowledge, based on your logic minded. You should be totally independent. Somebody telling to do something like that, just blindly don't follow. Always flexible. When you are doing something, some new thing will come, you have to change, or you have to change the direction. There are many issues will come during clinical research, so you should be very much flexible to change anything which is necessary. during the study plan. Always you should be careful because clinical research involves the human being. So you should be very careful in handling the human being because the patient and safety of the individual is the foremost rather than the efficacy and other things. So safety of the individual who is participating in your research is very important. So you should be 100% careful. Each and every activity which you are carrying out during research, the safety of the individual should be the foremost onto the agenda. You should be always curious to learn some of the things, inquisitive, eager to learn, because there are so many issues will come. You should always be eager to learn what is happening, what actually changes are happening, what new actually idea is coming, what investigations are people are doing. So you should be very eager to learn the things which is happening in area of research in which you are interested. Is practical about the issue. Always check and find out whether the data and other things are correct or not, if there is some issue appearing in the data. You should be completely perceptive. Always you should be persistent. I tell you that when you are doing research, we think that it is happening like that, but many times what we are thinking never happens. So don't get discouraged. Always be persistent with your correct methodology, your honesty. You should be persistent, and definitely one time will come where you get your goal. So persistent in clinical research is very, very important. Hence, you should have a patience. Don't get discouraged when actually something is going wrong during the research. Always think of original. There's no point in doing a duplicate research. Always creative. Think what actually is possible to do, whether it is bringing some new fact for the treatment or safety or diagnosis of a patient. Now, once these you have got, these are our actually researchers' quality, how we go starting. First and foremost is that always first learn your subject. Subject in the sense, whatever actually your main subject of interest in clinical research, whether you are doing pharmacovigilance or actually you are doing bioequivalence, or if you are doing clinical trial in a particular disease area, you should understand and learn your subject very, very thoroughly when you are deciding. And most important thing, that go on reading what is actually happening, what was the previous scenario, what is happening presently, what are the new technology or new information is coming up. You go on reading regularly, then it will be always helpful, a very fruitful result. Start with a very general idea of a particular thing, and then you focus to very specific thing which we wanted to do. Starting with the general, like, okay, what is actually COVID, what is happening, what are the actually people are involving. Then you can go to specific focus. Okay, I want to see what is happening to immunity, or I want to see whether the lung complications are occur. So initially you should go with your general information about the issue, and then focus on the important area where you are looking to work on. Begin with the problem. You identify a problem in any disease part or anywhere. Actually, what is the problem you wanted to actually aim there? And once actually you have identified, generalized and focused, you formulate your problem as a research question. Till now, we have not actually put into research question. We are just looking, okay, these are the things happening, these are things are there, and this may be a problem. Once you identify that problem, you convert into a research question. Reduce the question to a single question that is well defined and answerable. Always when actually you are planning a research, always made a very main single question is your, not that there are so many aim and objective 1, 2, 3, 4. It will be very difficult to cover. So identify what is the main actually objective of your study and find out and clearly define what actually you are looking to understand that area and find out whether that is answerable or not. Now coming to creativity, realize the need of this study, because you have to sense, okay, I want to plan this study. So you find out whether actually the study which you are planning, whether there is any need, because there are many people are doing some work and all those things, but finally we found that whatever data is coming is not useful. So there is no point in deciding or aiming to do some study which is actually not required for the patient or any for the science or pharma industry. Always sense, okay, when I complete that, what will be happening to this data, whether there is a necessity to do the particular study. Second thing, prepare, gather relevant information about that particular issue. Then incubate. Once you have gathered the information, think through the problem. That problem you identify and you try to think, okay, if this problem is there, when I'm going to do this research, it is going to happen like that. So sense, prepare and incubate. Last actually item is illuminate, that imagine the possible solution, because you have to first imagine that, okay, when I'm going to do, these are the possible solutions will come, and based on that actually your entire planning of the further clinical research protocol, other things will depend. So stage of creativity will be sense, prepare, incubate and illuminate. And then lastly, actually, you should verify, evaluate the solution you have gathered. Now you have got all information solutions there. Now the time comes actually you have to go for evaluation of those solutions and gather the information to finalize the report or result. Now I was telling that the first and foremost is the hypothesis. Hypothesis means you think of some information which is there, how actually it is going to do. Start with the thesis. Thesis is a position that you believe represent truth. I give a very simple example. Today, everybody is talking of COVID. Now, okay, I want to work on COVID. My thesis is there. I just got information that, okay, COVID is there. It is caused by particular virus. It actually lead to such and such problems and all those things. This is the thesis. Here actually some information which actually I am interested in is that, okay, whether there is a correlation of COVID with particular type of vitamin and all those things are there or not. This is my basic actually thesis. When coming to hypothesis, okay, when I find out, okay, there is some information is there that COVID is related, there is a inverse relationship with the COVID or mortality is COVID with vitamin D. So I have got two things. I have got COVID and I have got vitamin D. Now actually hypothesis foundation has come. I want to see that, okay, there's a correlation with vitamin D and actually COVID mortality or not. So what is that? I am thinking that, okay, my hypothesis continues that I have tentatively constructed, and according to evidence, I think yes, vitamin D deficiency is actually causing more problem of COVID. More people are dying, those who are having deficiency of vitamin D. So this is actually some initial hypothesis. Now another thing is the null hypothesis. Null hypothesis means I think no, it is negative. That means I go that there is a no correlation with actually vitamin D deficiency and COVID. So I say that there is nothing happens when there is vitamin D is less in COVID. So that is, and I want to actually disprove that. So I go with the null hypothesis and I want to disprove. What is my null hypothesis? That vitamin D deficiency doesn't cause increased mortality and morbidity in COVID. This is null hypothesis. And I do the study and I found and I justify no. Whenever there is a vitamin D deficiency, more people died. So actually I nullify the null hypothesis. That is the way actually we proceed. What is actually good hypothesis should be that foremost thing you have to see that whatever hypothesis thing, you have to check whether it is testable or not. I may be thinking something very great that I want to do some study where it is possible, but I found that it is not testable in a situation where actually I am working. Convey the nature of relationship being tested, very, very important. Whatever relationship actually you are planning to do, it should be being tested. A particular actually direction or particular correlation I am finding with vitamin D or COVID, I should be able to find out the relationship. If I am not able to find out the relationship with vitamin D or COVID mortality, there is no point in doing research. State exactly what variable form of this relationship you want. For example, if I'm generalizing telling vitamin D deficiency, but what area, which deficiency, mild, moderate, severe, what type. So all these variables, what are actually the level of vitamin D I wanted to check. So every variable of vitamin D, what type of estimation, which method of vitamin D estimation will be there, because all these variables will be going to contribute in my data. Reflect all variable of interest. Once you find out these all variables are going to play a role in your clinical research, all you note down and put up onto the paper. We formulate early on to the planning. I tell you that one of the most important step in any clinical research is correct planning. If your planning is wrong, whatever actually effort you have done, whatever data you have generated, it will be very difficult to conclude. So at the early planning stage, you have to decide, you have to go through and find out all the possible hindrance which is going to come, method what you are going to do, validation, standardization, where you are going to do, everything you have to plan very, very effectively, because otherwise at the end of clinical research, all the data you cannot actually conclude properly. Now coming to the study type, there are various actually ways of clinical research or clinical trial. What are actually generalized? One thing is that whether you want to test a hypothesis or you want to describe a phenomena. Describe a phenomenon means you are not doing anything. For example, today COVID, you are generalizing, you are find out, okay, COVID is there, where it started, how many people are affected, which are the country affected, whether it is affecting the children, whether it is more in the male or female. This is simply a phenomena, whether it is occurring in a particular actually type of people, or whether there is relationship with COVID, mortality in age, all these are phenomena we are not doing. But there is another thing that you want to test a hypothesis that, okay, if I add such a such thing, or if I allow the people to significantly maintain the distance or use the mask, whether the actually transmission of COVID will come down, then actually your hypothesis becomes. So there is a hypothesis, or simply you want to describe phenomena, that will be first thing you have to decide. Then there are two major type of stuff. One is the longitudinal, other is cross-sectional. In case of longitudinal, what happens actually, you decide a particular study and you are go on doing maybe for 1 year, 2 years. Today you have started, same study is going for 1 year, 2 years, and then you conclude. So daily some patients are enrolled into your trial and you are following them for very long time. In case of cross-sectional study, what happens? At one particular time, we enroll all the people and do our intervention. Very good example is the testing of actually vaccine. We take 1,000 people at a time at different places and give our vaccine, and within 3 months, actually I collect the data. This is cross-sectional. Or epidemiological studies are cross-sectional, whereas actually intervention studies are mostly longitudinal. Then most robust actually clinical research is randomized, double-blind, parallel group, placebo-controlled trial. If you do a randomized, double-blind, parallel group or crossover placebo-controlled trial, definitely it is one of the best way to do a clinical research. Only thing is that now there is a lot of actually issue related to use of placebo. What they say that wherever there is a standard drug is available for particular disease, better not to use placebo, because ethically we cannot allow the individual who is suffering with a particular disease to use a placebo. There are only few situations where placebo is allowed, where a very mild disease is there, where is no safety issue related to patient, and when actually the disease or condition is lasting for very short time, you can use placebo. Whereas there is a lot of actually variation, all the parameters are highly subjective, then you are allowed to use placebo. Like in psychiatric illness, when you want to evaluate, there is a lot of subjective variation. The objective parameters are very minimal. So then you are allowed to use placebo. So remember that as much as possible, please avoid using placebo. Try to use a standard drug during a clinical research. Now let us see that two important type of research. One is epidemiological research, other is actually randomized clinical trial. Epidemiological research allows the study of real world, that development of hypothesis regarding disease state. So in a real world, for example, you want to study that in case of diabetes, what is actually happening to the people to kidney problem, or how many people are developing retinal problem because of diabetes. So the real world, you get a patient with diabetes, check their retina or you check their kidneys and you find out what is happening. This is real world situation, what we do epidemiological. In case of COVID, you find out in COVID actually what are the changes occurring into the respiratory system, or actually whether it is also affecting the brain. You study the psychopharmacological activity of COVID patient and you identify there is a anxiety more or not. This is epidemiological study, no intervention. In case of randomized controlled trial, we do the rigorous testing of hypothesis and well-characterized manner, that is a less real in nature, because we take only few people, give our drug and then we test whether the drug is working or not, but it is not actually generalized to all the population in the world. So this is a randomized type of clinical trial. Mostly we are conducting in phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trial. Now coming to research design, this is another very important thing. I told during planning, if your research design is not correct, all the data which you are generated will not be fruitful. So designing of a particular type of research is very important. And I told you that any research designing should consider first and foremost the safety of the participant, those who are actually participating in the trial. We are not concerned that what data will be coming, whether drug will be really useful in reducing, but definitely we have to consider that if I am doing a particular clinical research, whether there is some issue related to safety of the participant. How we actually consider these issues into study design is one, that we have to see the study population. Whatever actually clinical research is concerned, first and foremost, you have to identify who are the people you want to include into the study. So that is study population. Which age group? You should be very careful that there are some drugs which cannot be used in actually the children, or some drugs cannot be used when actually they are affected. So age group of population you have to clearly define. Then you have to clearly define that whether you are going to take both the gender in a clinical study. Very good example is that suppose you are doing some study in prostate cancer, naturally you have to take male. You are doing breast cancer, mostly you have to use the female, or anything which is related to female, actually hormone, other things are there, the population will be only female. So gender is very important. Then lot of ethnic and race populations are there. We know that some ethnic groups are highly sensitive to particular type of drugs. So you have to also consider that. Disease characteristic. This is, I think, one of the very, very important point you have to consider for study design. For example, you want to do a study on, I again give example of COVID. Now in COVID, we have got different, actually non-symptomatic, mild, moderate, those who are in ICU. You should clearly define that clinical research or intervention which you want to do. You want to test in an individual those who are asymptomatic or only mild, or those who are actually in ICU receiving ventilation. So characterization of the disease population, you have to very clearly define which population. Suppose there is some data which is required as per investigation, you clearly write. For example, diabetes, mild diabetes. Mild diabetes in the sense, what should be the blood sugar level? So, then next is, I told you that for the safety issue, you should clearly define which is the study population you must exclude in enrolling into study. Then Another thing is the number. There is no magic number in clinical research. You have to clearly decide that how many patients in each group you want to include, and this will be based on statistical consideration. There are clear guidelines to calculate the number of subjects to participate in a particular trial. So number of subjects is very important. If are very low, again conclusion will be, or you cannot unnecessarily enroll. Suppose 200 patients are sufficient. You need not to enroll 500 patients. So the number of patients or volunteer to be enrolled in the study has to be decided in a study design. Then stratification. Many people actually, they just ignore, but you have to consider stratification study design. I give an example that if you want to do the study with antihypertensive drug, we know that there is a significant actually non-responder when the person is actually having obese or particular type of diet they are taking, then it will. So you have to stratify that when you are doing a clinical research, you have categorized, you will take an obese patient, non-obese patient, smoker, non-smoker. So stratification of your population you have to do initially, otherwise it will be very difficult. If you do the mixed population and you want to generate the data, you may not be able to correctly. So if you stratify, you'll very clearly know, okay, my this antihypertensive drug is more effective in non-smoker. It is not effective in smoker. So that is only possible if in study design you have considered stratification. Then randomization is very, very important, because if your actually trial is not randomized, lot of bias will come. If you are doing a proper randomization, most of the clinical trial bias will be eliminated. So always try to do stratification and randomization in clinical research. Now I told you that actually the people, those who are participating in our clinical research are human beings. Either they are healthy volunteer or they are patient, and we are responsible for their safety and well-being. The safety right of human subject must be protected. And how it will be protected in a research is number one, study design. Study design means your inclusion criteria, exclusion criteria should be very rigid. You cannot include a patient of peptic ulcer or volunteer those who are having history of gastroenteritis in a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, because we know that it causes actually gastric damage. So you should be very careful in your study design. You cannot include large number of patient study which is not required. So study design should be very, very important to look of the safety of human being. Second is that always all actually your clinical research protocol must get approval from your institutional ethics committee, because they look into the safety aspect. Informed consent is one of the most important activity in clinical research. Every research, even actually you are just recording some information or some data, informed consent is must. Without actually taking informed consent, even actually you cannot initiate the screening. Even if you want to include the patient, you want to check blood sugar level, you are not including them. But if you want to do blood sugar level to check whether this participant can be included in your trial or not, you have to take informed consent. So informed consent is one of the most basic thing for human participant. Data safety monitoring and medical monitoring. When clinical research is going on, definitely you decide that at what interval the data safety monitoring people will come. These are independent people. They will come. They will check whatever studies you are doing properly, whether there are safety issues there, and there should be monitor. There should be medical monitor. They should check your data, whether all the data is okay or there some safety issues are coming up. What are the key questions? What is the main purpose of this study? This is the first key question. What treatment will be used and how? You should be very clear that what are the treatment you are going to use in research and how you are going to use, whether you are using orally or you are injecting, how frequently you are injecting, how long you are injecting, all those things should be properly labeled. This is one of the very important things. You have to check that when a particular research is going on, you are including participants, what are the risks involved? There are some studies are there. We know that particular drug which you are using is going to produce some problem. I give example. There is a drug that is known as lufenamide. Lufenamide is used for treatment of rheumatoid arthritis. When you're doing a clinical research, you should look that what is the risk involved if actually patient is included in a trial with lufenamide. 35% of the patients, those who are put on lufenamide, they develop liver problem. What you have to do that you have to monitor the liver actually enzyme very frequently when you are doing a study with lufenamide. Similarly, that depending on the type of disease, depending on the type of drug you are using, always you find out what the risk involved, and you have to make a protocol in such a manner that that risk can be detected as early as possible in the research protocol. What are the possible benefits? If somebody is going to participate, actually what is the benefit? Not actually economical. He may be getting cured, or there's a benefit that the actually life may be prolonged, or there are some advantage in participating. In phase 1 trial, when you are doing healthy volunteer, usually there is no benefit to the volunteer, but they are significantly contributing to the science of knowledge, because then after doing phase 1 only, I can go for phase 2. So they are significantly contributing in knowledge, but they are not getting any bit personally benefit. How will participant safety will be monitored? I told you that you have to justify and you have to clearly write for monitoring the safety of the participant. These are the actually things you are going to do. How frequently you are asking them to come, what parameter you are going to record, all tests, whatever you are going to do for monitoring participant safety has to be mentioned in the protocol. Are there any alternative treatment? When actually you are doing research, actually patient has got all the right to discontinue the trial, or there may be some issue may come where actually you have to stop the trial in the patient. In that condition, you should have a clear answer that if this participant is not continuing my trial, what is the alternative? And this alternative treatment actually is available to him or not, because you have to clearly define in informed consent that if you are willing to withdraw, you can withdraw, and when you are withdrawing, this particular treatment will be offered to you. That should be mentioned in the patient information sheet. Who is the sponsor for trial? It should be very well known. Where is the pharma industry, those who are having their Western interest, or it is an academic type of trial. So who is the sponsor for trial? That is the key question. What are the participant burden? What is the burden to the participant? How many times he has to come? How many blood samples he has to give? Whether he has to go for MRI, CT scan, all the burdens which actually the participant has to go, that is our key question. How long and where? Actually, how long he has to participate in clinical trial, and where he has to come to participate in clinical, whom he should meet, what time he has to come, who is going to attend him, whether he has to wait for some time. What the participant has to do when he comes, he should know that what actually he has to do, whether he has to go and meet somebody, get X-ray done or ECG done. All those things should be known to him. This is a key question. Will there any discomfort, any type of risk? You should clearly mention that when you are coming, yes, we are going to collect 10 ml of blood. You have to be there, and you have to mention that usually there is a risk or not a risk for particular type of intervention. After that, we come to the methodology. When actually you are doing a clinical research, depending on the type of drug or type of disease, various methods will come. Some actually, most of the time it is non-invasive preferred, but there are some invasive methods. So all the methods which you are having to do in clinical research are very important component of research. Define the method very carefully. That means you have to clearly define whether you want to take ECG, then before taking ECG, subject has to lie down in a calm and quiet place. 12 lead ECG will be taken, which instrument will be taken. All those things should be defined carefully. Even actually recording of the blood pressure. For clinical research, you have to describe in very detail who is going to take, which instrument will be taken. All details should be given. You have to clearly do something to decrease the variability. For example, you want to record the blood pressure. It's not necessary that you are recording at 8 a.m. Some patient you are recording at 2 p.m. before food, after food, all these variables just before actually drug he has taken. So whatever actually variabilities are there, you try to decrease. That means you write a protocol that all the blood pressure recording will be done at 8 a.m. when the individual is sitting for 10 minutes. It will be taken on right hand, somebody taking left hand. So you have to identify what are the variables we may appear and try to decrease the variable during the methodology. Check reliability and reproducibility. Whatever actually data you are generating, you check whether it is coming reliable or suppose you are doing to do some test, you do the mock test and find out you want to estimate vitamin D. You check whether the vitamin D estimations are done correctly or it is reproducible now. Otherwise, what happens? All the data will come subsequently. You will find there's a lot of variation there. So whatever method you are going to do for recording some parameter or you want to do estimation, it should be highly reliable and highly reproducible. Are you testing what things to be tested? You should be very careful. You wanted to do particular test to be done. You check whether what you are trying to do, while you are doing the same thing or something else is coming. Try to walk through the study, consider as many like this is again very important. You have to dream. You have to dream your clinical research. Okay, when patient is coming, I'm going to do like that is going to happen. Every scenario which is going to happen in clinical research when participant is participating, you have to walk through. Then you will find out various likelihood, some problems will appear, you can rectify them. Try to design any variation of treatment or data collection that will think occur before the study. Because when you are designing, you may be doing, but there's a possibility that so many variation may come when you are doing clinical research. You identify and you prepare, okay, if this is going to happen like that, I will change over to that one. So you should be prepared to change because actually clinical research is highly dynamic. So many things will happen. You should be ready to find out all variation which is occurring and justify and modify. Then operational concept is specify how you will repeat or reliability measure a variable you are going to use the answer. So whatever actually measure you are doing, when you are repeating how it is going to answer your question, you should be very careful to identify because if the same study somebody wants to do somewhere, he should get the same type of result. Operational definition specify how your concept will be observed and measured. How actually you are going to observe, how it will be measured. It should be very operational and it can be done by anybody who wants to do a similar study. This should allow the research to reproduce. Same thing I'm telling, whatever data you are generating, you are writing, I have done like that, I have given this drug, I have produced this my data. Same thing is suppose somebody doing, he should be able to reproduce. That is the thing that is the operational validity is very important. Then one of the most important thing which everybody will be having to look whether you have done properly or not, what is it is the data. When you are doing clinical research, nobody is finding that what is happening except the monitor. But when you submit the data, this data is available to everybody. So data is one of the very important thing in a clinical research and you should be very careful about that. Data are the fact you measure. They should be carefully recorded and always it should be unbiased manner. I told you then when you want, you presume that when I am giving this drug, there will be decrease in the blood pressure or sugar will improve. That we are thinking, but it may not be happening in real situation. So don't worry about that. You always actually enter what is the correct data. It should be unbiased manner. You should measure in a manner that minimize the random variation. I told you that variation in recording of the recording of the data is very important and you should do in such a manner that you have to reduce and minimum error in data should come. They should be derived from operational definition you have developed. Coming to data validation, now data has come, it has to be validated that it is done properly, all the data is true or not. Do the data make any sense? Whatever data you have collected, Do you think that it is making any sense as per your hypothesis? Look critically at the data. What happens that in a clinical research situation or scientific experimental, two very important things come that is known as the significant variation. You may get some values are those are very high, some values are very, very low. These are known as outlier. And these outliers are there in any type of clinical research. So you need not to worry. These variations will be there. You have to very, very carefully identify the outlier and you have to justify that you have removed because of these issues are there. So you should be very careful in identifying the outlier in your data. Data entry error. This is very common when data is entered because of entry of some figure. In place of writing 6, I have written 9. So like that, data entry error has to be validated. Distribution of the data, whether it is normal distribution or squared distribution, because statistics, significant, everything will depend on the type of distribution of your data. Check selected data entry with the original data form. You have got a particular original data form in the form of investigation report from the lab, or there is a ECG report, or there is a X-ray report given by the doctor. You check whether the data which is entered into case record form and actual data which appeared from the lab investigation report is actually tallying or not. This is another very important thing, that data interpretation. If you are not able to properly interpret the data, all the hard work which you have done will go waste. Do not interpret, analyze data until the study is completed. These many people they mistake that suppose they have to complete 50 patients, after 25 patients, just they want to dig out and do the interpretation. Never. If you want to complete 50 patients, complete all 50 patients, then only you try to interpret. Do not unblind participant until study is completed or there is some issue like safety. Don't unblind when it is actually randomized blinded trial. Don't unblind when the study is going on unnecessarily, except if there is some safety. Do not interpret, analyze data until data has validated and data set is closed. So this is very important as far data interpretation is concerned. Use the research question hypothesis to guide. You have got the research question and hypothesis which you have decided on day one. Now actually you use for data interpretation. I have hypothesized that when I am doing this study, this is going to happen like that, my data will come like that, and now you look in for the interpretation whether it happened similarly or not. The prior definition of subset analysis. Many times actually we do subset analysis like that. When actually I have generated data in different population, I want to say, okay, when the patient is more than 60 years of age, actually what happened? When patient is actually smoker, what happens? So subset analysis I will do as per my primary actually definition which I did in a protocol. Exploration of epidemiological data is okay. When you are doing actually epidemiological data, exploration is okay. But many times actually data mining, suppose somebody had done some actually work and some data is there, just taking that one and you are including is not a correct way. So data mining is okay. Always avoid data mining. Somebody had done, we don't know how he had done, how all those things are there. So there may be data, you can take that as per your information, but usually avoid. And even epidemiological studies or data sets are there, that is good, but they may not be really very, very useful for your interpretation. So try to avoid these things. Now coming to very important thing is that when you are doing clinical research, one of the major issue comes is documentation. What they say that you do not write, then it is not happened. So documentation is very, whatever may be thing. If suppose volunteer or patient has to come on particular day, he has not come. You write, patient has to come for follow-up on that day, he didn't come. Due to some reason I was busy, I have not recorded the blood pressure, write that. So documentation of what is happened, whatever may be negative or positive, has to be recorded because documentation is one of the most important. If we have not actually writing, we consider that it has not been done. Now, when you are writing any actually the record of research, what you have conducted, first and foremost, you have to write the method, how you have done, what type volunteer you have taken, what drug you have given, what parameter you have recorded. Then you talk about the result. Then you consider introduction, what you have taken into that discussion, abstract and title. This is when actually you are compiling your data from the research. It will be reverse actually when you are sending for publication. So this is the sequence of order of writing when you are concluding your document after completion of the research. Writing up, after the first drop, you just prepare a very actually draft, and then you have to have new analysis usually suggested by the process of putting your idea down on a paper. When you have written a draft, when you read, you will find out there are some issues are coming. Again, you note down those things. At this point of time, you don't bother, you don't worry about what is happening. It is a purely first draft and some issues are there. Once this rough draft is there with you, actually put on the paper and just sit for a few weeks. Don't go on continuously daily seeing that one. Wait for some time. Again, you read after a few weeks, and what always you have to do, whatever actually you have done, you have completed, give to your colleague or some other party mentor, let them check your draft, because they will be unbiasedly suggesting, oh, this is good, this is not good, this changes you should do. So this is the way actually you write your research result. Once you have done the study, your results are ready, your documentation, everything is there. Finally, as an academic person or this thing, publication has to be done. Maybe negative result or maybe positive result. It is very important that the end thing is that whatever clinical research is done, it should be published. So the people, those who are actually studying and looking in that area interested, they will be able to understand what you have done, and this publication will be very useful for the patient care. When writing a paper, you have to find out which journal you want to know, because you should know that which type of actually study is published in which type of journal. You have to correctly identify the publication where you want to give. Pick up the journal which match your paper. You are doing some study related to actually infectious disease, there's no point in submitting to Journal of Cardiology. So you have to be very careful in finding out the journal. Always aim high. Whenever you are submitting, don't bother that it is not be published, or don't go with the negative thinking. Always actually think high, but go low. Need not to necessary that it will happen immediately. It may take some time. Last is persistent. Yes. Once you submit for publication, so many issues will come. They will ask that this is not there, you rectify this. All those things will happen. You have to go on persistent. If you have done properly and if your data is correct, definitely some time or other it will be published. So persistent of this is also very important for your publication. I think this is my last slide. Yeah, a few more slides are there. Should I take? There is a time.
I think we can, sir. We can, because it's not even 1 hour over. So we can go ahead with 10 more.
Because few more slides are there which is relevant to clinical research related to drug discovery and development and randomized clinical trial. So if you say that I should take, I will take, or we can take next time. As you question answer, I think we can do. That is better.
Yeah, sir. That should be good enough, sir. We will go for question and answers.
I think we should go for question and answer. That is more important.
Yeah. So people who have joined and who are waiting for questions, please make a note of your questions. In the meantime, I will ask some questions to Naidu, sir. Sir, you have said one point here that we have to decrease the variability of conducting assessments or methods.
Yeah.
So can you put some light on this? How can we decrease the variability when you are conducting assessments? So for every assessment,
I can some example. I told you one example is there. For example, you are doing a study where you wanted to check the blood pressure after your drug. Now there are what variability will come? One variability will be coming that the instrument which we'll be using today, tomorrow will be different. Standardization and validation of that BP instrument might have not been done. Second thing is that sometime you are recording in the morning, sometime you are recording in the evening before taking a drug. So whenever you are doing, these are the variability may come. That is one thing you have to look into that. Second thing is that suppose you are doing some investigation which is related to some lab investigation. You should be careful that, especially I'm talking of the actually labs which are run in government institution, all those things are there. They buy the various kits which is actually from the actually vendors which are quoting lowest. So this month they might have bought from X actually vendor and they have done your test. Next month, when actually the same test is done in some patient, now the kit which is obtained from another vendor. These variability will be very high. So if you are proposing a very study, you have to decide actually which kit you are going to use throughout the study. The same kit has to be used and preferably the same lab investigator should do like so, because these variability will be very high and that will going to contribute significant. Even actually type of blood collection, when you want to do the blood, how much amount you have to take, how long actually you take to actually transfer this blood from the site of collection to the lab. All these variabilities are very important that may contribute in your data.
I got it, sir. I got it. So every time we have to focus on different types of assessments. Depending on the assessments, it can be a instruments or it can be a time.
Anything, whatever actually the data you are collecting, whatever procedure are doing, you identify what variability may come. I told in the lab investigation is very common. Today they are using one kit, tomorrow they are using another kit. One blood sample was sent to lab within half an hour, other sample was collected in the morning and sent in the evening. So all these things are there. So there should be uniformity. Every sample should be collected at particular time. Transportation should be there. Temperature maintenance of the blood sample. All these things are variability which may come in clinical trial.
Yeah, I understand, sir. I understand.
One important point here, sir, mentioned was standardization of the equipment that we are using.
Yeah, that's what validation, sir, has said. Validation word, which is IQ, PQ, OQ. Every instrument which is used in clinical.
Yeah, it is done. I tell you, for example, even actually when you record the blood pressure instrument should be standardized and validated every 6 months. And you should have a certificate, not only that, you should have a certificate from the licensed people.
Right. So if it is not documented, it is not done.
Yeah, not done. So every instrument which is there, you have to have validation and this thing should be done.
Yes, thank you, sir. And my next question, sir. You were discussing about outliers, which is too much high value or too much low value, which may come during trials. So, sir, how do we identify this outliers?
There are two things in there. What happens actually when we do the study in this, the outlier we can identify with the published data previously, because you have to find out whether your data is normal distribution or skewed distribution. In that actually we get, because normally what we say that particular data, like suppose you are taking the confidence interval. So there may be a published data, like I'm telling vitamin D level estimation is done. So there are outliers. Some of the values are very high, which is practically not possible. Due to some error which is occurred, that data is coming or it is showing very low. So you should also actually look into what is known as historical data. That is one way. The other thing which is normally do when actually you are doing first time, there is no data is available, you have to do what is known as the pilot study. In pilot study, you will be very clearly able to identify that some data is actually going very, very high or going very, very less. And then when you are doing actual study, you will know that these are the data which is outlier, because in your pilot study, you got the similar thing. So these are the two ways, either from the historical data which has been done and you can know that what are the value which were very high, very low, you can include them, or you have to do a pilot study. and find out what are the possible outliers which are appearing there.
Right, sir. So my next question, sir, one of the slide you have explained about the research work should contain method, result, introduction, discussion, abstract, and title.
Yeah.
And you said that publication will have the opposite way, that
No,
title,
what I
abstract.
mean to say, publication in this sense, this is actually my result I have concluded, and when I'm writing in this form. But
Oh.
when you submit, because suppose now you are submitting this report, suppose you have done for some industry or pharma, when you are submitting this report, there is a actually report format from that regulatory authority. They have given a very clear this thing. You have to follow that. You are actually sending for publication. Then we know that title. Then say that actually abstract. Then material method, introduction, like that. They will be having subheading as per their requirement. So when you are publishing or sending the report to particular regulatory authority, you have to follow their format.
Right. So now, if I'm reiterating correctly, so when we are writing the protocol, the research work, it should be in this way, and publications.
No. The protocol and format are very well defined. That actually title is there, object is there, material method is there. Then actually what is the observation? That is the actually standard protocol is there. What I'm talking actually, once you have completed your research, for your review or discussing with the actually your group that whatever you have done is okay or not, before actually submitting the final report to regulatory people, this is for internal. Once I have completed, I want to check. I need not to check actually that objective other things on there. I want to say material method which I have done and what is my result. So this is the order I prepare and keep it and discuss with our group and say, okay, all these things are there. When I'm proposing the result, then I have to follow the format which is given by that regulatory authority or that actually the journal which is asking for me. Protocol has got definite actually subtitle format.
Yeah,
that is standard format.
Right. So I think I have learned so many new things today, sir, how we have to put a research question and what is null hypothesis and about outliers and variabilities and subsets and research work. So many things I have learned newly. So it was very productive session for me, sir, and for our students also. So I'll open for questions. Students, you can ask questions, please. So make it as more interactive and ask questions. Sir will be happy to answer you guys. And Uma, in the meantime, if you have questions, you can push it back to sir.
Here, I would like to give more chance to the students because they are the future generation.
Yeah. So today we had houseful packed group, sir.
Nice, sir. At the time also taking a call, but but for students, this is the opportunity. This is the time to ask the questions.
Yeah. So we had.
Don't hesitate.
Yeah, we had good number of students, sir. Nearly 50 people have joined the session. Skype has a limitation that only 50 people can join. So we have house full of 50 people across all parts of Andhra, Telangana and other regions also. And from Karnataka also people have joined us. So students, you can ask questions, or if you want to tell any feedbacks also, you can speak. So better you can ask questions.
Hi, sir.
Yeah,
sir, my doubt is, I am Vengadeshalu.
Okay.
Sir, in one slide you discussed about leflunomide, the drug used for rheumatoid arthritis.
Yeah.
So 35% of people who used this drug develop liver disease.
Liver impairment, yeah.
Liver impairment. So what is the reason, sir?
No,
why they developed?
No. I'm not talking of here reason. What actually telling there is a complete thing because this is metabolite and some of the metabolites are hepatotoxic. What I mean to say that if you are doing a study with leflunomide, you have to write a protocol as the safety of the individual is there. Very frequently you have to do liver function because it is known to cause hepatic damage. Very similar in case of if you are doing a study in tuberculosis, we know that rifamycin. Rifamycin also cause about 60% of the patient after 15 days of therapy, they may develop some liver impairment. So whenever you are doing a study with drugs like rifamycin or lufenamide or methotrexate, there are list of drugs which are known to cause normal liver. There will be some impairment we develop. So you should be very careful that whenever you are doing a study with these drugs, very frequent monitoring of actually liver function is necessary. I give a very good example today that in case of COVID, people are use prophylaxis of hydroxychloroquine or use chloroquine. Now I will ask you a question. Suppose you want to do a study with chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine in COVID patient. You tell me that what precaution you will take as a researcher. This is my question. I want to design a study where I'm going to use hydroxychloroquine or actually chloroquine in the management of COVID, because that is one of the drugs people have suggested.
One of the most important area is QT-QTC interval for use of hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Now what will happen for the safety thing? I have to do a ECG of each patient before I give hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine. Not only that, you should know that what is normal QT interval and how much prolongation is contraindicated to use. Till you don't know that, if you are not including your protocol, that means your safety aspect of this clinical trial is wrong. So these are the things you have to consider. You should know everything about the drug which you are going to use, what are the possibility, how to check that one. Suppose patient is having a QT interval more than 550 millimeter per second, you have to exclude from the trial. So till you know that and you put into your protocol, it is not justified. Another example is that chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, they cause retinal damage. So if you want to do the study, anyhow, in case of COVID, we give only for 5 days or 14 days. But chloroquine we use very often in the treatment of rheumatoid arthritis because this is one of the very good drugs. And there we use for 1 year, 2 years. And we know that chloroquine usage for more than 1 year or 2 years, it can cause retinal damage. So it is mandatory for me that every month or every 2 months, I ask my patient to go to eye specialist, get retinal checkup. So these are the things comes under the safety of an individual who is participating in your clinical trial.
Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Venkatesh, for asking questions. It shows a lot of difference from students. So open for questions. Anyone can unmute and ask questions. Be open to ask questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions. So guys, you can ask questions. Uma, students have any questions, ma? Uma, you're on mute.
Sorry, sir. I am on mute. Okay. As far as I have seen the slides, I have understood the things, sir. They're very, very elaborative, though, sir was giving small points, but everything was so clear. For me, I have also learned many things today, starting with hypothesis, then, kind of doing mock tests before, going into large numbers, kind of pilot studies we have to do. What is the importance of reproducible and valid data collection? So these are very, very important points sir has discussed today, defining the objective of the study. So how frequently we have to monitor the quality of that study. All these things are very, very necessary before you start any clinical research study. And for me, from my side, there are no such questions. I think students have understood very well, and yes, they are sending messages here. Thank you so much for your time, sir. We are looking forward for more sessions from you. maybe phases of clinical trials or protocol or ICF, any ethical considerations in clinical trials.
Yeah.
I'm just looking ahead for more sessions from you. That's it.
Yeah.
So I think students, any more questions anyone have? You can unmute and ask. Anyone have any more questions?
You are not in your academics, you are not in your college, so don't hesitate to ask questions. No one is going to scold here. Might be small or big, don't feel that.